everyone, welcome back, or welcome to my channel if you're new. This is a video style that I've not done in a very long time, but that I really want to do. And I used to do all the time. It used to be that all my videos basically were this, and it's just sit down and chat. I do think I did something like this last year, start of last year. I think I filmed about 10 sit-down videos in a week and then uploaded them throughout the year, but I don't feel I've really done it much since. And basically, a lot of the time, most of the time, these videos don't really have a purpose. They're just for me to talk about something that's on my mind. And usually I'm hoping someone can relate. I'm hoping, that it's just nice for you to hear about or, learn little nuggets of my life. In this instance, I'm happy for you to relate and happy for you to have, nuggets of my life, but I just don't really see anyone connecting to what I'm going to talk about, but we'll see. The topic I want to talk about is my secondary school graduation. The way this came up is because I'm graduating soon from university, and it just came up in conversation, and as a result, I started talking about my high school graduation, and a lot of memories and thoughts and feelings came back. So I just felt like I need to capture it in a way because I feel like I haven't spoken about it much at all. For context, in case you're new here, I lived in Australia for most of my teenage years, and I didn't really like Australia, and I was always waiting to finish school and come back to Europe. Because I was born in Holland, I had lots of family in England, so I knew it very well, and I just knew I was gonna get out of Australia as soon as I could. But I did enjoy school. I was always very academic. I really enjoyed the performing arts department at my school. We had quite a big one, and I was very involved with it, and I did really love that, and I made a lot of friends through that. And I loved my classes, I loved a lot of my teachers, there was a lot of good in my school, I felt. And I had two favourite years at school, year 10 and year 12. In Australia, you finish in year 12, so that's your final year. And year 12 for me, I loved the freedom. I had so much free time. Obviously I was studying, but still, I was incredibly involved with the performing arts department, more so than I had been in previous years, although I had always been involved. I really got along with the people in my classes. I loved my teachers. I really enjoyed, I really thrive when I'm learning and in an academic setting. So, that's something that obviously was going to benefit me anywhere in the world. But overall, suffice it to say, I had a great time. That being said, I was ready to leave, walk out the door as soon as I graduated. And I was not looking forward to my graduation. Now, I know lots of different schools and people do different things. Some people have a formal, some people have a prom, some people have graduation, some people have multiple things, whatever. Our school had one graduation at the end of the year after everyone had finished exams. It was not exactly local. I think it was about an hour's drive from where most of us lived and from the school and everything. It was crazy expensive, in my opinion. And I can't remember. I know that any guests had to pay quite a big amount. And I think the students had to pay as well, although I think that got scrapped, I think the year after I finished. I know it got scrapped, I just can't remember if it was before or after I graduated. So that already made me very mad, because in case you don't know this about me, I don't like spending money at all. And, it wasn't even my cost, it was my parents' cost, because they paid for it. And yet I was so angry about the fact that they had to pay that much money. On top of that, it was quite a social and party type event. And again, in case you don't know me, I'm very introverted, and I don't like parties, and I don't like social situations, and I don't like being forced to be somewhere for a long period of time. So I was not looking forward to it at all. On top of that, there were a lot of traditions, shall we say, that I didn't like, but that there was an expectation everyone would join in on, including a party drinks type thing, which was hosted by someone in the year, and limousines, which would take you from the prees to the destination, and staying at a really fancy 5-star hotel after the graduation was over. The prees we went to because it was local and I didn't have to pay anything, I don't think, for that, because I didn't drink anything, or, it was, I don't remember that being an extra effort, really. And it was a good opportunity, to get the pictures, and it was daylight and whatever. I did chip in for the limousine because, again, I felt like there wasn't really much of a choice. And actually, to be fair to my memories, I suppose, and my experience, that was one of the highlights of graduation. and I absolutely flat out refused to go to the hotel after. It was such a tradition, and it was such a big deal, especially to, you know, my friend group and everyone wanted us all to be together. And I get that in theory, but I was not forking out that much money to go and spend time with spend more time with people after I'd already spent a whole day basically with people in a situation I did not want to be in. I was just, I knew it was gonna be too much for me. And I'm so glad. It's one of those things that I just don't regret one bit. But again, it makes me mad because I'm very capable of saying no, and I'm very strong in myself, and I know, you know, I know myself well. I can put my foot down. But there are going to be people who feel they have to, because otherwise they'll be, I don't know, judged from the friend group or whatever. And that makes me really upset that that's, you know, a stigma, I suppose, or an expectation. Anyway, another thing, and probably the main thing that is still stuck with me to this day that makes me so unbelievably angry is the dress code. Now, I'm very privileged. I am cisgender, forgot the word there obviously, but I'm very comfortable in my own body, and I present as the way I feel in my body, and I was born in the body that I feel I have. I don't know, I don't want to say anything offensive, but I hope you understand what I mean. So there's a whole other issue that can be discussed, and that is not my place at the moment, or ever, to discuss about how it must be for anyone who's not cisgender, basically. But that's one issue. The issue I was facing, which is, I have to say, like, I'm very aware that this is coming from an incredibly privileged position. I need to make that clear. But the thing I had an issue with is the fact that we had to wear either black or white dresses. And that made me, and still to this day does make me, so angry. Especially because the boys were allowed to wear navy suits. If a navy dress had been an option, I would have been fine. I would not have had any complaints. But black or white feels so limiting, and they are two colours I will never wear again, except maybe if I ever get married or go to a funeral. That's what those two colours are in my head associated with. Plus, these dresses that you tend to buy don't really tend to come cheap. And we looked, I mean, I hate shopping, and I hated it even more then. And we looked, I can't tell you how long we spent trying to find me a dress, and I have a lot of respect for my parents who were incredibly patient with me and incredibly understanding. In the end, the dress that I wore wasn't even a dress that I tried on myself. My sister and my mum went shopping one day, found it, sent me a picture and said, "Do you like this?" Like, they knew there was no point in dragging me along to things like this. So we got the dress, and the really annoying thing is that it's a lovely dress, it's a gorgeous dress, but it's white, so I'm never wearing it. Like, it's been in my cupboard in Australia for the last however many years, untouched. And it makes me so mad, because if it was navy, I'd be wearing it loads of times. Still not, you know, all the time, because it is a fancy dress, but more often than never. The only good thing about it being white is the fact that I can dye it, and that was something that was in my head the day we bought. Even before we bought it, I just thought to myself, whichever dress I end up buying, I'll probably dye it one day. And that is still on the cards, but at the moment it's not a priority. Plus, then the shoes. So this was a whole thing I had because I really just wanted to wear my Converse, my like high top Converse. And literally every member of my family was like, absolutely not happening. So again, in the end, my father, bless him, bought me shoes that, you know, thinking, let's try this. And in the end, those were the pair I went for. And they were good in the sense of, you know, they ticked all the boxes. They were relatively comfortable. They weren't too high. They matched the dress. It was fine. But again, I've not worn them since. And I don't blame him for that. I think that was just going to be a problem with any fancy shoe I bought. And all that makes me so angry because it's so much money spent on stuff that I'm never going to use again, never going to wear again, and also that didn't even bring me joy at the time. Like, sure, I liked the dress and the shoes were all right, but like, I was still unhappy because I knew that we'd spent that money on something I was never going to wear again. I don't look back at my graduation with fond memories at all. There are two standout moments from my graduation. I don't even remember the actual graduating bit, just because I remember all this other not so fun stuff for me around it. Plus, sorry, before we go to the positives, because I am socially anxious and introverted, and I knew, well, not because I knew, but I knew this was going to happen, I was so anxious from the moment we got to the prees until I got home to my bed. And I just hated the way I was feeling. Like, it was not for me. And to be fair, that's not that's not the school's fault. The school's fault is the money and stuff, but that I can forgive. Everyone else had a good time. I would say out of my year, there was probably like 5 people who didn't enjoy it. Maybe not even that many. But the 2 positives, let's talk about those. Number 1, as I already mentioned, was the limousines. We had however many for the entire year, so we were all just kind of thrown in. And I think they split boys and girls, and I don't really know why they did that, but anyway. And I just remember the whole journey, as I say, it was about an hour-long journey, maybe 45 minutes. We were just blasting music, and we were just having a good time, and we got nice views of the city and everything, so that was nice. And that is the reason, I think, that Mr. Brightside is, to me, associated with my final year in school, rather than whenever it actually came out. Because I remember that song playing, and I sometimes, especially then, but still sometimes, although not as much, luckily, I get these, like, out-of-body experiences, but not in a good way. I think Dodie talks about this as depersonalization or derealization. It's one of the two. And as I say, I've not had it as much recently, but definitely in my final year of school, I experienced it quite a bit, where it just feels like I'm leaving my own body and watching an experience happen without actually being in it. It's very hard to describe. It's like being in a dream. And I remember I had one of those moments while Mr. Brightside was playing, while we were in the limousine and everyone was having a great time. But anyway, the second moment, and it was literally just a moment, and it's a moment that has stuck with me for the last however many years it's been, because it was so unexpected and it really touched me, and I still, as I say, I still think about it often enough. Not all the time, but it definitely sort of floats into my mind occasionally. And that is that in year 12, there was a group of people that I had been friends with, or friendly with, sort of all my years in school. But there was one person in particular I did get closer to in my final year. Actually, there's probably a few, but there's one specific person I'm thinking of now. And we would text a lot. And it was one of those strange things where over text we were fairly close, I would say, but then in person it was not really acknowledged, I guess. And just before, the moment before I entered the limousine, someone came up to me, an adult, and said, "I'm so-and-so's parent. I just want you to know you've done a lot for our child this year and we really appreciate it. We can really see what you've done." And it was a sentence, and then they walked away and I had to go into the limousine, and it was this moment of like almost eye-opening. It was so unexpected and it was so lovely to hear. And the sad thing is, and this has been on my mind also for the last few weeks, it's someone I'm no longer in touch with, and I've not spoken to since then, basically. And that makes me sad. I'm like, I wish, but it would be weird for me to reach out now, I feel. I think it would be very weird for me to reach out now. I did at some point start following them on Instagram, and they started following me, so there was something, but that was also like 2 or 3 years ago now. But that moment, hearing that, knowing that I'd done that for someone, that's really stuck with me, and that was, for me, probably the best part and the most important part of my graduation. So that's my 20-minute long ramble. I'm so sorry. And again, I want to make it clear that I know I'm speaking from a place of privilege. I know that I had a very good school. I had a very nice graduation in theory. Obviously, it just wasn't suited to me. I have incredible parents who were so supportive and understanding with all these things that were coming up. I was able to come here after I graduated. Like, there is so much I am grateful for, and I'm so grateful for my education and my school especially. Like, I don't even have the words for how grateful I am for the opportunities I was given in school and the way my school was, everything about it. And you know what? It makes for a good story to tell. The girl who hated her graduation. And I don't know when you're seeing this. I don't know if by the time you're seeing this, I will have already done my graduation for university. I'm hoping it's going to be better. I think it will be, because first of all, it's going to be shorter. It's a morning graduation and we should be finished by noon, which is awesome. Second of all, I can wear whatever I want, and that means so much to me. Third of all, I don't think there'll be as much of a pressure to party or anything like that, which I'm also grateful for. Do you know what else I've just remembered about my graduation? I don't remember anything about, I'm sure food was served, but I remember nothing about that. What I do remember is for dessert, they brought, or they had, or you could get, I don't know, like fruit salads in a container, like a small pot. And I think I ate about 14 pots of fruit. I just kept going, oh no, oh well. I just kept going back for more. So that's 3 things, I suppose. I've lost my ring, but that's okay. And also I think for my university graduation there won't be as much pressure as there was for my school graduation. I think it's going to be a lot more chill all round. So those are my feelings, my thoughts, my memories, my experiences, etc, etc. Let me know what your graduation was like. Did you enjoy it? Are you super introverted as well and also didn't really like it? Or have you been in experiences before? Just let me know if you relate at all, or if you're like, what are you on about? But that is all from me. Hopefully the next video won't be as, you know, sad, but I hope you enjoyed it anyway, and I'll see you very shortly. Bye!